thank you for joining us. We know it's precious lunchtime, so if you do want to keep your cameras off, enjoy your lunch. We'll have ours later. So really happy to introduce not new partners, been partners for quite a while, but this is the first in conversation with Hague Dental. So we are joined by Lee and by Rob. Sorry, nearly called you Bob. Sorry about that, Rob. You'd have answered anyway, wouldn't you? So Hague have partnered with Adam for quite a while now, and we're really exploring how they want to know how they can help practice managers, and we want to introduce our practice managers to Hague because for me, there is no other similar company out there that actually really wants to do added value in to the services that they're providing. It isn't just about new equipment and servicing. There's just so much more, and at the top of the tree for me, it's customer service. So I'm going to introduce you first of all to Rian. Rian, would you like to tell everyone a bit about Hague?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to just share my screen so I can bring up the presentation. Just bear with me for a tick. That works? Is it showing as it should?
That's fine.
Okay, so guys, I'm the marketing manager here at Hague. We're a Horsham-based company. So Horsham is in West Sussex, about 20 minutes from Gatwick. I'll show you our coverage areas just now, but just a little bit about the business. There's a lovely photograph of some of our team at our large town hall meeting. Then the discussion highlights for today is really the outcomes from today's session is to see how we can empower you to get more out of your engineering team. And a lot of that has to do with regular servicing and making sure that your equipment stays in tip-top order. Joining me on the call today is Lee, who's our engineering manager, and Rob, who's our business development manager, who deals mainly with service contracts, and they'll be able to answer any questions you may have in that particular regard. Now, Hague as a business has been around for about 27 years. Up until about 3 years ago, we mostly operated in the southeast of England. And then in 2021, Hague acquired an investment from a partner called Morrington Partners, and that's actually enabled the business to grow quite exponentially. So this is just the timeline of the growth of Hague. It started out as an engineering business. Then we started selling equipment, secondhand as well as new. In 2018, I think we entered our first awards, which is the FMC Dental Industry Awards. And really the business has grown from there. One thing that's remained the same, it's a business that's built on family values, and that's never going to change. As we basically grow as a business into a micro-size enterprise, that's the one thing that will definitely remain the same. The business is basically structured into 4 different solutions. So I mentioned it started out as an engineering firm. We still provide engineering services. We also sell equipment, and the equipment is split into large and small equipment. We also do some second-hand and ex-display. I'll show you just now, but we have a very large showroom here in Horsham, the largest dental showroom in the UK, actually. And that equipment that we display is normally on a 6 to 8 month rotation, and then that ex-display units become available for sale. We also have a digital specialist team, engineering team that can help you to develop your workflow. And of course, we sell all the relevant digital pieces of equipment. And then lastly, the one solution that's really grown exponentially in the last few years is design solutions. So design solutions basically incorporates interior design. So we do practice design, surgery design. We do technical design, so technical drawings. If anybody on this group has an interest or maybe know of practice managers that are looking to set up their own squat practice, we really provide end-to-end solutions for that particular segment. So technical drawings, we've got our own project management team of project managers. We've got internal builders and external builders that can do a full practice refurb or squat development. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we sell equipment, we do digital, and we provide engineering. About 2 years ago, we also added service contracts to the mix, and that's basically just to meet the demand from industry and basically manufacture guidance in respect to annual servicing, and we'll cover that a little bit more today. As I mentioned, we're Horsham-based, so it's only about 20 minutes from Gatwick. It's the largest dental showroom in the UK. It's not just an equipment showroom, but it's also a design centre. So for those looking to set up a squat, this is where they come to look at equipment side by side. We have 12 surgery layouts with cabinetry, with small equipment, large equipment, all side by side. So you can really test drive the equipment and get a feel for it and practice on it before you procure. And then from the design side, all the samples that you would need. Imagine building a house. You want to talk about finishes, flooring, upholstery. We've got all the samples where you can play like the touch and feel game. So if you know somebody who's, again, as I say, setting up a squat or maybe looking to refurb, this is definitely the place where they need to come. We've entered the awards since 2015. We were off to a slow start. We've actually, just over the years, we've consistently increased. I think one of the two major awards that's worthwhile mentioning is Customer Services Award and Service and Repair Award. And that directly translates to our approach to engineering. And Lee will tell you a little bit about that just now. And then second last is the service coverage. So I mentioned that the business started in the southeast. We now operate in 31 counties, so all the way to Manchester and Leeds, and to Bournemouth in the east. And we're looking to grow that footprint even more. We have a strong team of engineers that support us in the Midlands. So if you are Midlands based, we have some offers that we're going to discuss later. But we are definitely in the position to support you wherever you are based. Lastly, from our side, in partnership with Adam members get 10% discount on engineering, parts and interiors. So if you head to the members area on the Adam website, you'll find the promotional code there that you can redeem when you engage with us. Now it's over to Lee.
Hi, yeah, I'm Lee. I've been with Hague now for 2 years. So I have seen the company grow from what was a fairly small company when I first started with a team of 4 or 5 engineers up to now nearly 15. Again, we started covering the southeast, mainly within the M25 when I first started. And just generally through reputation and quality over the years, we've expanded. And grown upwards really. As Ryan said, we can now cover the Midlands. We do have a
Oh, hang on.
Yeah, so we are capable of covering most of the UK.
Okay.
So Lee, obviously you guys were always very well known down south, but obviously you've moved up north.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. For me particular, you know, for those that know me, you know that we're kind of northwest. I've always felt that we are quite limited where we are. So obviously there is pretty big market up here as well. A lot of new squats and such like. Is there anywhere that where do you go up to, or is it just you'll go wherever?
At the moment, so as Rian mentioned earlier, is sort of Leeds, Manchester is our maximum reach at the moment. Obviously, we don't want to stretch ourselves too thin, and we want to offer the right quality of an engineering and turnaround times, having engineers in local areas to get there. So yeah, at the moment, we are, there are plans to do it and go further north, but obviously we want to do it properly. As Rian said, the Midlands is fairly new for us over the last 3 or 4 years. So it's a matter of sort of building a very good quality foundation in the Midlands and up to Manchester and Leeds before we consider going north. But yeah, it's it's a big part of the company and the growth, and we want to do it properly.
I think that's amazing, and I obviously had the pleasure of coming, going down, even not coming up, to see your showroom and meet you all last week. Your engineering team were great, and I can see why you want to make sure that you grow at the pace where you're getting the quality engineers, which I think it's fantastic, because obviously you've got such a good reputation for customer service and quality. You don't want to just send anyone, so
No, and I think
is guaranteed the quality that's expected down south, aren't we? Which I think is brilliant.
Yeah, and it's very, and it's an industry. I've been an engineer now for 30 odd years, and dental is one of the only industries that you don't get a qualification for coming out of college. But there are a lot of good manufacturer training courses out there, probably some of the best, and it's not all in the UK. They take you out to the manufacturing plants in Germany and Italy, and they do it properly. So the engineers are fully trained, and they're trained by the right people, which are the manufacturers. We do a lot of in-house training. We have senior engineers that carry out training, and people that are fairly new to the industry, but they will come in with good electrical, mechanical, hydraulic knowledge, which when they can turn into the dental industry.
Yeah, brilliant. It's great.
Do you want to talk about the manufacturers?
Yeah, well, manufacturer-wise, a lot of the main, I would class as the main 2 dental chair manufacturers in the UK, Hague and Belmont. Both very good chairs. Internally very similar. Obviously one designed in America, one designed in Japan, so the looks are different. The theory behind them is very similar. So once the engineers have got a base foundation on one or the other, it's fairly easy to transfer it between the 2. We have just started working with a Greek company that myself and the sales director went and met in Greece last year, called Neodent. A lot of it is manufactured in-house. All the metal is made in-house. It's spray painted in-house, so we actually got to see the procedure and the build lines of how they put it together, which is quite nice. But the electric motors, the spittoon valves, handpiece tubings, they're all high quality NSK, B&Air, Katani. So the internals are good quality, but they do come in at a slightly lower price bracket. I guess we need a chair for every package that we want to offer, whether it's a high end ADEC 500B fully loaded with micromotors, or something for an associate that's a little bit cheaper. So that is our plan, to have something for everybody. We work with Katani, Bambi, Junair, MGF when it comes to compressors. So we have a wide range of suppliers that we can use for those. And decom wise, it's NSK. We've just recently been to Milag for a 2-day trip to see how they're manufactured and do a bit of training. Yeah, so in Prestige, Tutenhauer, they're all on board with us. We've all got very good relationships together. So we offer a range and I guess a price bracket for everybody, but it's always good quality equipment.
Yeah, so I mean, what I found a few times, Lee, is you've got quite often your principals that want the ADEC or the Belmont, probably spend a bit more money, which is obviously understandable. But then as I'm for me, when I'm helping practices to open up further surgeries, sometimes the budget isn't there at that point. So as you said, the affordability of the range is to suit whatever stage people are at, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah, and just as a company in general, as Rian said, we've got builders, we've got floorers, we work with 2 or 3 different cabinetry companies. So if you've got a room for that you're planning for an associate or for your principal dentist, we've got everything on offer. From a slightly smaller, cheaper room to something that's a bit bigger that you want to go a bit more high end with, we can do everything. Our guys, our engineers will walk in, take the chair out, take the pump out, take an existing X-ray out. Our builders then come in, will rip out the surgery, and we'll start from scratch and redo it. As I say, yeah, we'll go from a Neodent to a Voyager. You've got the new 300 core that's available now, and then you can go all the way up to the S6s, S8s, the 500Bs. So I'd like to think we've got something for everybody, for every price bracket.
Yeah, and that resonates massively with us in practice, because patients come to us and we want to be able to look after them, and you have to give different options, don't you? So
yeah, and it's although the engineers they all drive around in Mercedes Vitos, which are a transit sized van. They've all got, I would have thought, probably about £10,000 worth of spares, the right tools, everything on board. So we've got everything for every scenario when it comes to engineering as well.
So PSI prevented compressors. This shocks me actually. I think this will be really helpful to people to understand the difference.
Yeah, when it comes to every dental compressor, because of the nature of a compressor, you're pumping air into a metal chamber which stores it. Now, anything under sort of 4 or 5, probably up to 6 bar of pressure, needs to have safety valves in place, safety measures in place to make sure, if there is a leak somewhere along the line, it cuts out the right pressure and doesn't cause any damage to the surgeries. There's something in place called the Pressure System Investigation, which is the PSI. All our engineers that are able to carry it out go on a 2-day training course, and they're taught to look for the failures of a compressor, how to test the dial, which gives you the internal pressure of the tank and the output pressure of the compressor, and to look internally and externally at the receiver, which is the bit that stores the air for rust, for corrosion, and the external pitting. And we use internal cameras, ultrasonic thickness testers, but generally for a practice, it is a legal requirement to have that done every 12 months. So they need to be inspected yearly.
Can I ask a technical question?
Yeah.
Because there's a couple of things that I notice. One, there are some practices that don't even really understand the pressure vessel investigations part of it. And they do look at things like, oh, well, we get it serviced, but they're not getting them validated. Or they're using companies that actually aren't going to be supported by the insurance policy.
Right.
So I think I mean, if something goes wrong with this, it's pretty serious, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And every, when our engineers, we work for a company called Pressure Safe or Mandate Services. So our guys go on quite an in-depth 2-day course with them. And once you pass that course, you are classed as a competent person, as an engineer. So when they come out, they will do the job properly and they will do it thoroughly, because at the end of the day, if anything goes wrong once they've done the inspection, they are, I guess, they are the competent person. They are the person reliable for it to be signed off and made safe. There will be scenarios when the guys go out to do it and they will find something quite drastically wrong with a compressor. They will then put on the report to say it's not safe for use, but legally we're not allowed to cut the plug off the compressor. So we can leave it unplugged and say don't use it. As soon as we leave site, someone can plug it back in and start using it. At that point, it then becomes an issue for the practice. Because obviously we've put it on the report, don't use. But they are a legally binding document that needs to be carried out every 12 months. They are under a lot of air pressure inside. If you get any failures, it can crack, it can cause an explosion. Worst case scenario. I've not personally seen it, but they do need to be checked every 12 months.
So we're doing these things for safety as paramount, don't we, and for efficiency. But I know that I've seen recently a CQC pre-inspection list, and this is actually on there They to see not just that people have. I mean, if you haven't had it done and you've not got the records, you know, to back it up, getting it done now will be better. But they actually want to see history of it as well.
Yeah.
So,
You know, or we would advise it if you haven't had one done. If it's a brand new compressor, they come out with a certificate of conformity, but that only lasts for a certain amount of time. Even if the compressor is 6 months old, we always recommend that it's done at the point of installation. Generally, just because it's been in transit, it's been moved around a bit. Any of the valves or the safety valve could be knocked. It could be it could be loose. So we always make sure we do that at the point of installation. Ours is all web-based and downloadable. So as soon as we've carried it out and it's been signed off by mandate, the customers can log in under their postcode and with a reference, and they can download it to their practice, so they can have a copy on site. If they want us to, we can download it, print it, and send it out as paper copy. But I guess in the modern world, people will have it on a disk somewhere or on a cloud. But it can be logged into, and if you're doing it yearly after year, you can see the history within that website. So
that's brilliant.
yeah, and you know, we do go along as engineers, and sometimes you're there to meet an insurance guy, and we're there literally to take the valves off that need to be tested by the insurance engineer. He tests them, and then we have to put them back on the machine.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, no, there's been
Wow.
quite a few occasions where the insurance company for the practice say they do the PSI, but legally they're not allowed to take the valves or the dials off the compressor. So we've been asked to go and do it.
Okay, that's interesting. Never knew that. Okay. So get them done.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely.
One that's qualified.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
XP servicing, okay, this is another, and it shocked me, but this is another area that there's quite a few misconceptions.
Yeah, it's every manufacturer we work with, every training course we go on to, it is manufacturer's recommendations that you service your equipment every 12 years. I guess if anybody realizes that over the last 7 to 8 years, it's changed quite a lot. When I first started the Hague, servicing of the equipment wasn't as important as it is now. I think manufacturers have caught up with the whole process. ADEC now have a yearly service kit and they have a 5-year service kit. So they've sort of worked, I guess, from engineers being on site and realizing that not necessarily everything they had in the original kits needs to be used. So they've tweaked their service kits to have a very simple kit every year with the parts that they think may fail. And then every 5 years, it's a bit more in depth. Compressors, again, there's service kits for the compressors, service kits for autoclaves. So everything that we supply generally has a service kit on a yearly basis. We'll come in, we'll service it. We draw up service certificates with the serial number of the piece of equipment, so that you've got reference of, of what's been serviced, what's been carried out. So yeah, it's an important thing. We do work with King's College in London. They've got, I think now 21 sites around London. When we first started, there was 30. They were spending over £60,000 a year on repair bills. 8 years ago, they started servicing their equipment, and we probably go out once a week now. So although their service cost is a little bit higher, the overall bill's lower because of their servicing it on a regular basis.
Yeah, and if you're cancelling clinics due to, equipment not working, then that's just takes it to a whole new financial loss.
Yeah, and they weren't servicing the equipment, and they would just call us out for breakdowns. Now they're servicing it, we don't get many breakdowns from them. So they're having that 1 yearly service, and that's still stopping a lot of the issues throughout the year.
Yeah, I mean, again, we can liken it to, our patients, the prevention rather than just coming in when you've got a toothache. It's just that's our ethos, and it kind of absolutely should be for our servicing contract. I know you're going to talk about servicing a little bit later on as well, aren't you? But
yeah. So it's there are some sites, I guess, that haven't had their service, but the engineers will generally go in and discuss the situation with them. it's like anything, if you don't have anything serviced for a long time and then you go in and start replacing parts, sometimes you'll find other issues arise from that. But we're quite open and honest, and we'll discuss it with them and point out other bits that might need to be replaced. And we'll always try and get that piece of equipment back to good full working order. Right. Yeah, validation wise, again, it's another legal requirement. Autoclaves need to be validated every year. I guess it's definitely more in depth than compressors. Compressors are a lot easier to validate, or to service and keep on top of. But when it comes to autoclaves, we've got Ivan on board. He's been to Eastwood Park for 2 one-weekly courses, so he's now capable of validating all the autoclaves. He's got all the right equipment, the laptop, and he comes in, puts wireless probes inside the autoclave, runs cycles, runs vacuum tests. It can be quite a laborious task. You have to sit there and watch temperature graphs on laptops and make sure they're matching with what's on the screen to what the autoclave is saying, and making sure that it goes through. But again, it's vacuum autoclaves need to be looked after. If anything goes wrong, it can be quite an expensive bill to get it sorted out afterwards.
Yeah, and I know what it costs. A lot of practices use it for their implant equipment, and if you want to cancel an implant day, that's not
yeah, definitely. I think it's not with Ivan. When we get Ivan to come in and we do that, it's not just about validation. If he needs to, help people out and teach them what needs to be done, give them his knowledge. It's all fairly fresh to him. He's been on Eastwood Park, so he works to HTM 105. I guess some of the grey areas of what manufacturers recommend to what we're told to work on with HTM 105. There's always going to be grey areas. Manufacturers will state that their autoclaves come out and they're fully validated and don't need to be done. Again, it's a bit like the compressors. We will always recommend that it's done in installation. Again, autoclaves move around in a box from manufacturer to the UK or from UK websites, warehouses to our factory. It needs to be done on installation. And then you're confident it's going to last for 12 months. So again, we do regular services on autoclaves, bacterial filters, door seals, water filters, clean out the chambers, hot and the cold and dirty chambers, make sure everything's okay. Doing the vacuum tests, making sure the door pins aren't sticking. So yeah, it's quite a thorough service that we'll come out and do. All the guys that again been W&H, we're sending out, I think 6 in October to Hague in Germany for a week's trip to do manufacturing. They're bringing out a few new products, so we'll keep on top of the new ranges that are coming out as well as the old ones. It's the guys do carry service kits on their van, so if it's not on a service contract that we've offered, or we get to site and we say, right, we think your suction pump is playing up because it needs a service, generally they have the service kits on their van, so it could be done on the same day, time allowing, and prices agreed, things like that. But that is part of their van stock, that they have the service kits for a wide range of what we do.
That's good. It's always disappointing when you have an engineer and then it's, oh, we need this part, which I don't know, from our point of view, it's like, well, why aren't you carrying this with you? And I know there's going to be some things at some point, but you kind of go, oh no, we've got to cancel another day.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, our engineers do carry a lot of stock, to up to £10,000 worth of stock on their vans. And I guess as an engineering department, as a company, we pride ourselves on quite a high first-time fix. There is, as you say, always going to be those ad hoc parts that just generally aren't classed as stock parts, that are very rare to go wrong. But again, we've got good relationship with people like ADEC and Belmont and Catani, that we will generally get it in fairly quickly, and then come back and do it. But yeah, we do like to think we hold most items on the equipment that we work on, that we can get that first visit and resolve things while we're there. So yeah, it's as an engineering department, I think all our all our engineers are very knowledgeable. When we train them up, we do it properly. It takes up to 12 months for a new engineer coming in to sort of graduating, I guess, to doing a lot of the jobs on their own. So it's not rushed through. You know, we take our time and make sure that internally we're happy with what they can offer, that they'll represent the company properly, and that we can get it done when we come to site for you.
No, that's good.
Yeah, no, it's right. Parts. Yeah, warehouse wise, we've got two big stock rooms back here at Horsham and a full warehouse. Any one time we're probably carrying 30 single surgery suction pumps, the Catani Turbo Smarts, 2Vs, compressors. We've got all of that in stock, and small parts, consumables, handpiece tubing, suction filters, service kits, as I said, individual service kits for control blocks rather than just a whole chair, push fittings for floor boxes. So yeah, it's if people do, you know, when they come around and have a look at the showroom, we don't just show them the showroom, we show them the warehouse stock room, so they get an idea of what we can offer. So
No, it's brilliant. What I mean, I can see the awards here. And what I really like is the awards that you've got are what we as customers would look for. So customer service, provider service and repair, and standard business. It is the same when I see practices. You know, I want to work with a company that, you know, if you've done best marketing campaign, you know, or something like that, it's like, well, it's great, but these awards that you guys have gone for actually really mean something for your customers. So
yeah,
I think you get very, very well deserved. And I do the judging, not for the dental industry, but for, I'm not biased, for dental practices and such. So I know there's a lot of work that goes into making sure that, you know, you can get these awards, which I think just give your customers extra.
yeah, and I think, you know, I think that for me personally, and I guess if you speak to some of the guys in the office, the customer service one is probably the one that we're proud of. You know, it can be quite a stressful environment. Trying to sort of organise the diaries, make sure the engineers are in the right places. The diary is very, very fluid. It changes from 1 hour to the other. You know, when emergency calls coming in, we're trying to move engineers around to sort of make sure that we can get in and supply what we need to do as a company, keep everybody ticking over. And the girls, they do a grand job. You know, they're there. They're always happy. They're always quite cheerful on the phone. No one wants to ring up and get an unhappy voice at the end of the phone. So the office is quite a friendly environment, I guess, and I guess that relates to the phone calls that you'll get on the phone.
I think that's, you know, I saw that last week. You know, you guys got me in because you wanted your team to understand what things are like from a practice manager point of view. You know, not just maybe the engineers go in and the practice manager's a bit stressy. It's kind of understanding the pressures of the practice, which I think for you to be bothered about that is fantastic. So the customer service, I don't think I've seen anything likened to it.
Yeah, and I think as a company, we're always willing to try something new. And I spoke to a couple of the engineers after your course, and the chat that we went through, and I think it opened their eyes a little bit to a certain extent of, you know, we've never understood what practice managers and the practices go through. We come in as engineers, you know, we're directed to the room. We see the problem that you've asked us to come in, you know, we'll resolve it, and then we're off to the next practice. So it's always good to get the flip side of maybe the stresses that you're facing as a practice or as a practice manager. And you know, at the end of the day, if it helps them understand what you're going through and makes life easier for everybody, then there's no harm.
And like you've just said, you know, the people in the office, we want that customer service, we want the friendly voice, we want a bit of empathy towards, you know, what a nightmare we're having. But so in the office, they also give us reminders and things of when things are due. It's not, and that takes off so much pressure.
Yeah, and we've in the last 18 months we've moved on to a new CRM system, which is making life easier for everybody here. We get reminders popping up on the screen when services are due. If there's any visit that we've planned that is due, we'll get pop-ups the week before, so it gives the girls the heads up to pre-plan it. Get, as you say, get in contact with you guys and take that stress of you having to remember what's due. You'll get a nice little phone call from us saying, well, you know, your service is due in the next couple of weeks. Can we book it in? So yeah, it's not just the phone calls they take. They do a lot of other stuff behind the scenes, as you say. Planning the diary, booking engineers in, speaking to you guys to book in the service contracts that Rob sorts out. So yeah, there's a lot, and they do a bit of the invoicing. They'll do customer queries, raising the service certificate. So yeah, it's a very varied role for them, but at the same time, it can be quite a stressful environment. So you know, we like to try and keep them happy and you know, keep that whole office that way. And it does, it transmits down the phone, so it's a good thing.
Are we going on to Rob's part in a moment? But just before, Lee, I know you're probably desperate for people to ask you some questions. But if anybody's feeling a little bit shy, then if you want to direct questions to us behind the scenes, please do so. You can get in touch with us and we can pass that on and put you in touch with.
Yeah, no, you know, if anybody, you know, even if they've left and a question comes to mind later, we're always happy to answer it later on. You know, with emails and WhatsApp, the whole lot. You know, it's a modern world, so we can certainly answer the questions for them.
Thank you. So annual service contracts.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi, Rob.
So I'm Rob. I've been with Hague for about 18 months. Mainly brought in to look after the service contracts and build the relationships with our current customers, but also new customers as well. So the service contracts are designed to ensure reliable and efficient functioning of equipment, mainly through preventative maintenance. And also build that connection between Hague and the practice themselves. So I also work as kind of an account manager between the two. So when you sign up to a service plan, you can use me for any kind of communications you might need, and between all of the different departments, but mainly looking after the servicing and repair side of things. So the service contracts, they help to do with preventative maintenance, but there's four main reasons annual servicing gets missed during the year, and mainly through busy schedules or forgetfulness, simply just not knowing, and obviously tight budgets as well. So the service contracts, missing those can potentially then lead to irreparable damage and higher costs, unexpected downtime on the equipment, as obviously Lee's been through with the importance of the preventative maintenance. They also help with ensuring the compliance as well, the compliance side of things, so validations and PVIs on the autoclaves. So anytime anything's needed, essentially, we have it under control and we would give you a call to schedule that in under the plan. The service contracts are mainly done through direct debit, so all paid through on a monthly schedule. That helps with the cash management and budget for practice. So you can do that through either just your servicing on what we call an annual service contract, or your servicing and repairs. So any reactive maintenance that's needed throughout the year. So that kind of helps with the budgeting side of things. So as I mentioned earlier, one of the main reasons that servicing does get missed is through tight budgets or delaying it or just putting it off, and that can lead to potential extra repairs and things like that. So
one thing that you guys probably see, and I see a lot of, there's nothing more worrying than a principal that has a toolbox. In my in my experience, it causes a lot more problems than it solves. So I'm kind of saying, you know, everyone should actually get these servicing contracts in, and the repair contracts, because things do go wrong. Everything goes wrong, you know, at some point, doesn't it? So it's definitely a proactive approach.
Absolutely. It also takes the stress out of trying to deal with it yourself. So you've got a whole host of equipment in your practice, from your autoclaves, your digital, your chairs, and it is difficult managing your practice, along with chasing quotes, organising which company deals with what piece of equipment, when is it due. If everything is on a service contract with Hague, you've got one person to call. We would get in touch with you prior to whatever might be needed at the relevant intervals, and we'll schedule that in at convenient times with your practice to minimise any inconvenience, really. So we can go in early to kind of do compressors before certain surgeries open, for example. But yeah, essentially having it all pre-planned and budgeted through the year to take the stress out of managing it. Our service contracts are also available with new equipment. So the example on the screen with the Milag and W&H autoclaves, you can either set up plans separately to look after those for the next 2 or 3 years and renew that ongoing, or you can purchase it in with a finance offer when you buy the autoclave. So you've got one monthly payment for the product itself and the maintenance going forward. So all of our service plans are bespoke to the manufacturer and to the practice. So we look at how many cycles that you'd be doing throughout the year, what the recommendations are for that manufacturer. So, for example, they might have different service recommendations per amount of cycles, or different annual to 2 years, for example. So the monthly payment will reflect the work that you need to do. And all of our service contracts, they are put together to give you a discounted price compared to ad hoc or pay-as-you-go servicing. Then obviously split through the year, but add-on members can get an extra 10% on the service contracts.
That's good. Thank you. I think I interrupted with a few questions at that point, so thank you. So Lee, we're going to touch on small equipment repairs as well, because
yeah. So this is something we've kind of, as a company, we touched on. Blimey, probably about 8 or 9 years ago, I met a gentleman called Carl at a golf day for B&Air. He'd just left Handpiece Express and started up, as you can see on the screen, MC Repairs, which do all handpiece repairs, scalar handpiece repairs, implant repairs. And we've kind of, in the last 10 months, kind of touched base with him again. They can now offer aftermarket parts, but at the same time they can offer warranty parts and manufacturer parts for your handpieces, your scalars, implant kits, micromotors, the whole lot. So we're now offering this as a company to work in conjunction with MC Repairs. You can download the repair form or the information from our website. There is a form you can fill out that gives you, I guess it's your kind of your budget. So there are 3 different areas or prices that you can agree to, that if you send it back, the repair comes to less than what you've agreed, they will repair it and send it back to you. If the quotes are slightly higher, you are guaranteed to get a quote reply within 24 hours. And then they, you know, as long as everything's agreed, they will repair it and get it straight back to you.
We do use MC Repairs in our practice, and we have never had, we've used them for quite a few years now, never had a problem.
No.
I was very open and honest, and you know, keep you, like I said, keep you informed if there's any changes to what you thought was going to happen with it. But
yeah, and they're, you know, they're not a company that you'll send it back and, you know, they'll just repair it and send it back to you. They, you know, they will talk to you in person. They will get hold of you and let you know what the problem is. If it's more expensive than everybody, you know, what was imagined, you know, they'll get the quote to you quickly. If everything's agreed, they're very quick at turning it around. Handpiece comes back to you, and the invoicing is literally done through us. As I say, the engineers, they've got padded envelopes with return forms in, all prepaid postage on their vans that they hand out. And there's also a link on the website that you can go to and download it, arrange to have it sent back yourself. So yeah, they're very good. We had Gary down a little while ago, going through it with us all. I think in the last 6 weeks we've done quite a bit. So the turnaround is very, very good.
It's just making collaboration with people that's just really good. I mean, we know that, you know, they advised us, you know, there's a bit of a pattern that's happening with your handpieces. So can we recommend that you actually buy you know, a small piece of equipment, which was amazing because then the repairs actually went down a lot. So it's that I like their ethics. I definitely like their ethics.
Yeah, and you know, they will be honest with you. And I say it's. I think for me as an engineer, it's quite surprising. Sometimes you go into practice and they've only got 2 fast handpieces that they use in that one surgery, and they are going to get worn a lot quicker. They are going to be used a lot more, and potentially your repair bills for those 2 are going to be a lot more than maybe having 5 or 6 for the one surgery. So it's whether that initial outlay, you know, is worth it for repair bills that you might get down the line.
I imagine that they've probably got a few unhappy nurses as well, if they've already got to.
Yeah, you know, I was out on the road yesterday and it was very similar. You're going to do a repair and there's only the 2 handpieces in the drawer. And one of them, the bearings was played up, so they're sending that to MC Repairs today to get that looked at. But it still means they're down one of the handpieces that they were using. So
Not ideal.
no, and it's education as well, isn't it? It's trying to get, you know, as much information as we can across from our experience, from our knowledge for being in business for so long. We're just, you know, trying to help out everybody and giving as much information as possible.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you.
So yeah, so you can see from that slide, that's one of our photos of our stock room with all the little bins. We use a lot of DCI parts, Belmont parts are in stock. That is our Zone Z that you can see on the screen for our engineers. So when repairs are booked in and the parts are there, the stock or Chris in the warehouse pulls them out, puts your account code on. They go in Zone Z, so the engineers know exactly where they are. They haven't got to go hunting for them. So if they are in Brighton early, like some of them at 5 o'clock in the morning on the way to their first job, they know exactly where to go to get it. So it just makes that flow of getting parts out to the engineers a lot easier.
Organised.
Yeah, well, we'd like to think so. Yeah, and that again, it kind of goes over a bit what we spoke about. Stock wise, it's quite a high figure, but pumps and compressors do generally, you know, throughout the amount of customers we've got in such a big area within the country, the turnover is quite high. So we always like to have stock in place. Emergencies can happen at any point. Your suction pump can seize up for all sort of different manner of reasons, from not being serviced or slightly in the wrong environment, overheating. We've even had a few where they've had power surges from the electricity board on the street doing some work. And it's blown the pump up, and we've been in the same day with a new pump, got it up and running, generally because we've got it in stock. Engineers will have a lot on their vans, and you know, even if it's something we need to send out from the warehouse, we'll use couriers to get it out to you.
That makes a massive difference to people. Just keeping, you know, people informed of stuff as well. But
yeah,
and the service side, this is what we like.
Yeah, and you can see from this side, it's just kind of what we could try and set our sights at for customer services. You know, response time's quite high. We've had a few calls in today in London. I think there was one in Milton Keynes, and we've managed to get out there within 2 or 3 hours. Obviously, it's all dependent on location of engineers, how quickly we can get them across, how busy their diaries are, whether we can move things around for emergencies. Engineers have all got work phones, so customers can contact them direct. You know, the engineers, they do like to build that rapport and relationships with practice managers and staff on site. And you'll find a lot of the time, it's sometimes the engineers calling in to arrange a visit because the customer's been in contact with them first, had that discussion on the phone to see if it can be resolved over the phone. And the engineer will ring in and say, look, this can't be done. They've contacted me. Can we book in the visit? So yeah, they take a lot of responsibility for repairs and visits as well. So, you know, they've all got their own business cards.
No, sounds good.
Final Q&A.
Yeah, any questions and answers?
I think it'll be there'll probably be some generated afterwards. Is that the end of the PowerPoint? No, got more.
Oh, the mega stock clearance.
There's a few more.
Yeah, so this is on our website as well. You know, we're going for a bit of a clearance. New you know, items are coming in. We've got, as Ria mentioned earlier, we've got a really good showroom that we're very proud of. But at the same time, we will bring in brand new chairs that will sit in the showroom for up to 12 months, and then we like to refresh them. And those chairs can be offered at a lower price. The good thing is we've got an agreement with all manufacturers. The warranty does not start until it is on a customer site. So although the chair may be 12 to 13 months old, it will come with the new manufacturer's warranty. So everything we've got in the showroom can be sold on and will over time be sold on. We like to, every time new people bring out new specs, new ranges of equipment, we're always quite keen to get that new item into the showroom for the sales guys to start showing off and pushing. So yeah, there's always options and there's always a deal to be had. New ranges coming out, as you can see on here, you've got the new 2 and Howler items coming out, Prestige RO units. There'll be, you know, other bits coming up sooner or later, but people are always happy to give us a call and we can have a chat about it.
That's good. I mean, it's nice because, you know, you getting to know your customers it does make, that is for me one of the biggest differences. You know, if I rang you up and said, right, okay, I need I'm thinking we need a new ESM. We've got a shopping list of about 4 or 5 things, and I know that if I send that out to you guys and go, do me your best deal,
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time shopping around. You guys are always at the shows as well and things, aren't you?
Yeah, we do quite a few shows, and I think this year or next year we're doing nearly every one. We're up in Manchester next year, but we will do XL. We'll do the Birmingham one. Yeah, it's nice to put faces to, you know, to the people you speak to on the phone a lot of the time. Can be long days, can hurt your feet, but it's good fun.
just a bit, just a bit. And
I try not to wear my high heels when I'm there. It's fun.
Well, the good news is that Adam have now secured a Adam Theatre in the Manchester. No, so we're hoping that we've got a meeting coming up, and we're hoping that we can get kind of a practice manager area where people can gather and ask questions and things like that. So obviously, as one of our sponsors, we'll love it if you could come over and have a Q&A live session, Lee. I know.
Yeah, one of my favourite things ever.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, I can't tell you how much we appreciate, you know, the fact that you are aware of practice managers and what they're trying to do, and also it's practice managers that are having to sort of talk to the owners about what they need, you know, what they need repairing, what they need servicing. And actually, I know that you guys, if a practice manager came to you and said, look, can you help me explain the importance of this? I know that that's something you can host.
Yeah, so if anyone's got any questions, you know, even if it's about compliance, about PSIs, about validation, X-ray critical exams, there's always going to be someone here that can answer those questions. My role has changed massively in the last 12 months. Rather than being out on the road, I'm in the office more, so I'm there for the, you know, the technical answers for everybody, whether it's on the phone or anybody in the office. So I'm sure I've got some knowledge there somewhere in the back of my brain I can give someone at some point. So
I'm sure that, yeah, I'm sure there's not much that you wouldn't have come across and be able to
no,
say.
yeah,
Just wanted to say massive thank you. It's quite brave getting in front of all these practice managers.
yeah.
All in one. Most people listen to the recording as well, so hopefully you might go viral. Now.
Yeah, well, you never know. I'm getting to that age. I need to be famous at some point.
Yeah, there's worse things to be famous for, isn't there?
Yeah.
Thank you for those of you that have joined us. Absolute pleasure. Please feel free to let us know if you want to get in touch. One of the things that we didn't sort of go into too much detail about was the design side, which I know, I mean, we've got an upstairs patient lounge that has got Kirsty's name written on it because I've seen what she does and it's like.
Yeah, no, Kirsty is very clever. So yeah, if anybody needs any information, any knowledge, come and speak to her because she'll probably surprise you.
Yeah, I mean, that has kind of creative brain. It's like, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
and it's like no, every design she does, not a single one is similar or the same. So yeah, she's got a lot of imagination up there that I think, you know, helps everybody. So
That's brilliant. Thanks, Lee. Thank you so much.
no problem.
Hopefully you'll have some phone calls.
Yeah, I'll be sitting next to my desk for the next hours waiting for that phone to ring.
And thank you, Rianne, for introducing us all, and thank you to Sam for getting us actually on air and live after we had a little bit of a hiccup last time. So we're all functioning. We're all. You'd think we'd be a bit more technical, wouldn't you? When
We got there in the end.
We did. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you joining us today, and hope you found that really useful.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, take care.
Bye bye.
Cheers.